In 1997, DC and Warner Bros. Attempted to create what they believed would be a cinematic masterpiece with Batman and Robin. Coming off the success of earlier Batman films like Batman Returns and Batman Forever, expectations were sky high. The cast was packed with major stars. George Clooney stepped into the role of Batman, Chris O'Donnell returned as Robin, and Hollywood heavyweights Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman brought iconic villains, Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, to life. However, what was meant to be a superhero blockbuster quickly became one of the most infamous and mocked films in movie history. With flashy neon sets, awkward dialogue, and bizarre creative decisions, Batman and Robin ended up being remembered not as a triumph, but as a cautionary tale for studios everywhere. Behind the scenes, there were chaotic decisions, strange accidents, and unforgettable stories that shaped this cinematic disaster. Today, we'll explore 10 weird facts about Batman and Robin that reveal the unbelievable truth about how this movie was made and why it became a legendary pop culture disaster. Fact 1. The Bat Nipples Say scandal. When the very first promotional images of Batman's suit were revealed to the public, fans around the world immediately noticed something strange: nipples sculpted onto Batman's armor. This odd design choice was made by costume designer Jose Fernandez and approved by director Joel Schumacher, who claimed he was inspired by Greek and Roman statues, which often showed detailed anatomy. Schumacher defended the decision, explaining, "It's meant to be anatomical, like a piece of art." But fans didn't see it as art. They saw it as hilarious and distracting. The backlash was so intense that the term "A-Bat Nipples" became a permanent part of Batman pop culture. George Clooney himself later admitted, "The nipples were a mistake," joking, "I ruined the Batman franchise with my nipples." Even decades later, the costume remains one of the most mocked superhero designs of all time and perfectly symbolizes how over-the-top this film really was. Fact 2. Arnold Schwarzenegger's record-breaking paycheck. Arnold Schwarzenegger was at the peak of his fame in the 1990s, known for hits like Terminator 2 and True Lies. When Warner Bros. Signed him on to play Mr. Freeze, they were convinced his star power would guarantee box office success. Arnold received a massive $25 million paycheck, making him the highest-paid actor in the film. Here's the crazy part: Mr. Freeze has only 27 minutes of screen time in the entire movie. This means Arnold made nearly $1 million for every minute he appeared on screen. To make matters even weirder, most of his dialogue consisted of pun-filled one-liners, such as, "Everybody chill, Snowflake, let's kick some ice," and the Iceman come. Though critics panned his performance, fans later embraced it for its campy, over-the-top charm, turning Mr. Freeze into an unintentional comedy legend. Fact 3. George Clooney's biggest career regret. George Clooney was a rising star in Hollywood when he was cast as Batman. He thought the role would elevate his career and cement him as a top-tier leading man. Unfortunately, the exact opposite happened. After the film's disastrous release, Clooney publicly apologized to fans, famously saying, "I thought Batman was a role you couldn't ruin. I was wrong." He even joked that if a fan ever told him they paid to watch the movie in theaters, he would refund their ticket price out of his own pocket. To this day, Clooney refuses to watch the film, and he has banned it from ever being played in his house. The experience was so bad that he became extremely selective about future roles. Ironically, while the movie damaged his reputation at first, Clooney later bounced back and became one of Hollywood's most respected actors. But he never returned to Gotham. Fact 4. Robin's age and awkward role. Chris O'Donnell reprised his role as Robin after starring in Batman Forever. However, by the time Batman and Robin was filmed, O'Donnell was 27 years old, which made him seem far too old for the boy wonder role. Fans criticized the dynamic between Batman and Robin, noting that Robin looked more like a roommate than a sidekick. To make things worse, Robin's new suit was flashier and more colorful than Batman's, making him stand out awkwardly on screen. There were even rumors of tension between Clooney and O'Donnell, as some scenes made it seem like Robin was stealing the spotlight. This lack of chemistry added to the film's awkwardness and helped cement it as one of the strangest superhero duos in movie history. Fact 5. Uma Thurman's cringe-inducing Poison Ivy. Uma Thurman was cast as Poison Ivy, a character meant to be seductive, dangerous, and mysterious. While she gave her performance everything she had, the writing and dialogue were so over the top that it was nearly impossible to take the characters seriously. During early test screenings, a scene where Poison Ivy performs a seductive dance to mesmerize Gotham's elite caused audiences to laugh out loud, and not in a good way. Warner Bros. Had to edit several shots to try to make the scene less ridiculous. View-ridiculous. Even Uma Thurman has admitted in interviews that she found the dialogue campy and absurd. Despite this, Poison Ivy has become a cult favorite villain, remembered for her outrageous one-liners and elaborate costumes. Fact 6. The Mr. Freeze suit nightmare Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze costume was a technological marvel at the time, but it was also a nightmare to wear. The suit weighed over 75 pounds and contained glowing blue liquid tubes designed to make it look like icy energy was flowing through his body. I spinned? However, the tubes frequently leaked, causing electrical shorts and even minor burns on Arnold's skin. It took 6 hours each day just to get Arnold into the suit. Because it was so heavy, he could barely move and had to sit on a massive throne between takes to avoid collapsing from exhaustion. Despite the challenges, the suit remains one of the most iconic visual elements of the film, even if it came at a painful cost. Fact 7. Studio interference ruined everything director Joel Schumacher originally envisioned: a darker, more serious Batman movie, similar to Tim Burton's earlier films. But Warner Bros. Had other plans. The studio wanted to sell toys, so they demanded the film be bright, colorful, and kid-friendly. This resulted in constant studio interference, with executives adding more characters, flashy set pieces, and ridiculous jokes. The movie ultimately felt like a 2-hour toy commercial, filled with unnecessary props designed purely to sell merchandise. This corporate-driven approach backfired spectacularly, turning the movie into a critical and commercial failure. Fact 8. Alfred's real-life struggles. One of the most heartfelt moments in the movie involves Alfred, Batman's loyal butler, being diagnosed with McGregor's syndrome, a fictional terminal illness. What many fans don't know is that Michael Gough, the actor who played Alfred, was dealing with his own serious health issues during filming. Despite his struggles, Gough delivered a deeply emotional performance that stood out amid the chaos of the film. For many fans, he remains one of the best portrayals of Alfred, bringing dignity and warmth to an otherwise campy production. His scenes provided a rare moment of genuine heart in a movie otherwise filled with neon lights and puns. Fact 9. Critical destruction in a canceled sequel. When Batman and Robin hit theaters, it was obliterated by critics. The film scored a shocking 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, making it one of the lowest-rated superhero films ever. Some reviews were brutally honest, calling it the death of the Batman franchise. Warner Bros. Had already planned a sequel titled Batman Unchained, which would have featured Harley Quinn and Scarecrow as villains and civilians. But after the catastrophic reception, the sequel was canceled immediately. This failure opened the door for Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which successfully rebooted the franchise in 2005. Fact 10. Arnold's ice cream truck tradition. Despite the chaotic production, Arnold Schwarzenegger brought some positivity to the set. Known for his strict fitness routine and love of desserts, Arnold arranged for an ice cream truck to be parked near the studio. Whenever he finished shooting a physically demanding scene in the Mr. Freeze suit, he would personally hand out free ice cream to cast and crew members. This quirky tradition became a highlight of the production and provided a much-needed morale boost during an otherwise stressful shoot. Even today, crew members fondly remember the ice cream truck as one of the few bright spots of the film's creation. Batman Robin may have been a disaster when it premiered, but over time, it has achieved cult classic status. Its wild costumes, bizarre performances, and unintentional comedy make it endlessly entertaining to rewatch, even if it wasn't meant to be funny. While George Clooney may forever regret donning the cape and cowl, fans continue to enjoy the movie as a so-bad-it's-good masterpiece. And in the end, the strangest part of all is that this cinematic train wreck helped pave the way for one of the greatest superhero trilogies ever made. Sometimes the weirdest stories aren't just on screen. They happen behind the scenes, shaping the movies we'll never forget.